Hey there, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to the second episode of the Heroes and Legends podcast. And I have two topics to talk about today, and they're a little bit more lengthy, so I want to make sure the video doesn't go too long today. But first, we're going to talk about the changes to Magic the Gathering Online Commander and the article that Wizards put out on Wednesday. Secondly, we're going to talk about YouTube and some of my experiences with YouTube over the last couple of years, especially over the last few months with the ad boycott. I've had some folks ask me questions about that because I have mentioned it in a couple of videos, so I want to give you at least some background to what I've experienced there. But having said that, let's get into the first topic. We're going to talk about Wizards of the Coast, as we always do, it seems, and as we should. It's a Magic channel, right? So, Wizards of the Coast on Wednesday put out an article talking about Magic the Gathering Online Commander and where they're going with that in the future. Now, here's the deal. If you've played any Commander on Magic the Gathering Online, it is really meant to, of course, be first and foremost a multiplayer experience, but any multiplayer experience on Magic Online is not a positive one. If you ever tried to do it, it's very difficult, not very popular, and you have little screens basically of your cards, your opponent's cards. They get smaller and smaller depending on how many opponents are there. Things are cut off. It's really hard to see what's going on, and it's just very, very difficult to engage in. Wizards knows this, and that's why you don't see, for example, Commander products anymore being released as Magic the Gathering Online products in that store. You don't see the Conspiracy product being released as Conspiracy draft products in the store. What you see instead is they find other ways to get those cards out to you because they are legal in Vintage, Legacy, so on. So if players want those cards to play in those formats, they get them through other venues. The Vintage Master set, for example, was one way that they did it in the past. Treasure Chest is another way. So that's basically what they do, and they shy away from multiplayer, rightfully so, because the system really can't make it a good experience. So, having said that, Commander, of course, is a very, very popular format. Wizards wants to cash in on that popularity, right? So they have looked into trying to make 1v1 Commander more of a thing on Magic the Gathering Online. Now, we saw one of those changes went into place maybe prematurely a couple weeks ago when you found that if you play 1v1 Commander, your starting life total will now be 30 instead of 40. Well, okay, I'm okay with that. I think that makes sense. That's fair. But on Wednesday, we got a look at the actual ban list for their 1v1 Commander and then some. So what am I talking about? Well, if you check out the description below, I do have a link to the article so you can check it out yourself. But right now I'm going to quickly, I'll put it up on the screen, show you the ban list. And we'll start off real fast with some cards that they qualified as fast mana that they wanted banned. Some of these make sense, right? Black Lotus, the Moxes, like, yeah, that probably is pretty consistent with almost every format. And then you have a few that are actually cards that are not banned in the Rules Committee Paper Commander ban list, which we'll talk more about in a few moments. But things like Mana Crypt, Sol Ring, Mana Vault. Now, yes, you could argue when you're talking 1v1, Sol Ring is a much more powerful card than if you're looking at a multiplayer experience. So yeah, okay, I can kind of buy that. It makes sense so far. The screen has what they call combo enablers, things like Doomsday, Entomb, Food Chain, Time Vault, Tinker, a lot of things on there. Protean Hulk, of course, which was recently unbanned in the Rules Committee paper format of multiplayer Commander. Oppressive Commanders is their next group. You have things like Arkham Daxam, Braids, Grizzlebrand, some of which you expect, some you might not have. Zur the Enchanter, which was recently reprinted in Modern Masters 2017. And then you have the rest of the list, which they just call Other. Here's the miscellaneous. You have things like Balance and Moats and Natural Order, Time Walk, things like that. Again, some make sense. Some may be a little surprising. Now, here's the part that really surprised me. They went on to say, okay, well, there's your ban list for 1v1 Commander on Magic the Gathering Online. Okay, fair enough. But then they said, you know what? If you do play multiplayer Commander on Magic Online, you're still going to ban all of those cards, but we're also going to ban these 5. Biorhythm, Limited Resources, Painter's Servant, Sensei's Divining Top, and Trade Secrets. Now, with Sensei's Divining Top, they did mention that the reason that was banned was more so because it's a little bit slow to play on Magic Online, and if multiple players had it, it could make for some bad experiences. So that's the reason there. It's more of a functionality than it is the actual card, but the others are more for multiplayer functionality. Now, the reason I'm surprised by this, though, is the fact that we already have a multiplayer ban list. We have for quite some time, and it is the list that is ruled and governed by the Commander Rules Committee. Now, if you're not familiar with the Commander Rules Committee, a little bit of quick background for you. Commander was a game that was actually created by players. It was not created by Wizards or Hasbro or anything like that. It was created by the players that sat down. There was a group of people that wanted to be able to play a casual game of Magic, play the cards that they love that maybe aren't the most competitive cards in the world, but they're parts of their collection that they like to play back in the day. And they sit down and just want to have some fun. And that's really where this all started. Originally, your commander had to be one of the Elder Dragon Legends from the Legends set. And because of that, it was called EDH, or Elder Dragon Highlander. You had your Elder Dragons, the Highlander, of course, coming from the movie Highlander. There can only be one because you can only have one of each card in your deck. So that was the original name. And later on, Wizards, when they realized how popular format has become, gave it the name Commander and incorporated it into their world and started making Commander products and so on and so forth. Now, the folks that created the game, one of them is Sheldon Menery, who has been tied pretty closely with Wizards over the years. He used to do commentary, he's been a judge, and overall a great guy. I actually met him once at a pre-release. He was there spell slinging, and for the folks that were not paired up in the pairings, if you got a buy, they would get to sit down and play with him. His wife and him were there. They brought cookies, super nice people. And he's the type of person that, from everything I understand about him, I mean, he doesn't feel like Wizards owes him anything for at least being a part of the team that created this format or anything like that. He's just not that kind of person. I think he's just happy to be able to contribute and to still contribute via the rules committee, which kind of watchdogs the rules and the ban list and stuff like that for Commander, and has ever since the beginning. So when Wizards comes out and says, okay, today's ban and restricted update day, and we're banning such and such in Modern or Legacy or what have you, later that day, Sheldon Menery will typically put something out on their website saying if there's any changes to the Commander ban list, and if there are, why they made those changes. So he's still very involved in that, as well as the other folks over there. Now, here's where things get a little bit awkward. Effectively, this is creating two different, probably highly visible ban lists. One of which is Magic Online ban list, which of course starts out as this 1v1 ban list, which doesn't quite tread on the territory of what the rules committee is doing. But then they follow this up with this screen here. Oh, and by the way, if you are playing multiplayer, throw these cards in and you're good to go. Now this creates two very different ban lists. Granted, one is supposedly supposed to be for Magic Online. The other one is really meant for paper Magic. Now, there have been other groups that have made 1v1 Commander ban lists, and if you Google, you can probably find a bunch of them out there, quite honestly, right? So, this isn't unheard of, but this is coming from Wizards, and when something comes from Wizards, I think there's a certain weight to it, and even though they're saying, well, this is just for Magic Online, okay, well, of course it's just for Magic Online, because right now they don't really have sanctioned Commander GPs or anything like that. Maybe they will someday, who knows? Now that they're doing this stuff, that would be kind of awesome. But at least for right now, they're just saying, you know what, this is an MTGO thing. Well, yeah, of course it is. That you don't sanction any big tournaments or anything in the world of paper, so it's not going to cross over there. It just can't at this point. Now, if you play casually with your friends, could lead to some confusion. Some people may want to follow this particular list. Some may want to follow the Rules Committee list. And they are quite different. So let's take a quick look at the Rules Committee list as it stands right now. Of course, Protean Hulk recently unbanned. But you can see there are differences from the cards we brought up. In fact, let's zero in on some of those differences. The list you see on the screen here, these are cards that are banned on Wizards list, but are not banned in the Rules Committee list. And there's quite a few here. There's a number of cards here. Everything from Protean Hulk, which of course is recent, to the Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, like I mentioned earlier, to Doomsday and Tomb, Arkham Dagsum, Zur the Enchanter. So just a lot of cards here that are different. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. These are the cards that the Rules Committee have banned, but Wizards says are okay. Coalition Victory, the first Emrakul, Leovold Emissary of Trest, which just happened recently, of course, and other big cards like Primeval Titan, Prophet of Krufix, Upheaval. These are some powerful cards, and I think you could just simply look at this list and start thinking about what kind of deck you want to build in 1v1 Commander that could be quite competitive, right? So, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Wizards' take on this. Obviously, I'm sure as data comes in, they will tweak this list and adjust it. But I feel like they've left some powerful stuff on the table and taken some stuff off the table that I don't know necessarily needed to come off the table. But that's a story for another day. Like I said, today I just want to talk more about the difference between these two lists and why is this happening now? Well, here's my theory on it. I feel like this is another kind of corporate move from corporate Hasbro. And I'm not saying that as a negative thing or a bad thing necessarily. It's just kind of a thing. Small companies can get away with stuff that big companies are going to be very careful about getting involved in. For example, Wizards of the Coast is a small company that's done things like the invitational cards, where winners of the tournament got to have their likeness on a card and help design a card. Well, that's actually really awesome. I think that's an amazing prize. But from a corporate lawyer perspective, it opens up some issues. First off, what if that person you put on your card goes and does something really bad in real life? And all of a sudden, you have that kind of stigma attached to your game. Secondly, what if that person comes back and says, you know what? You sold a lot of packs of this set because my card was in it, which I helped design. My likeness is on it. I think I am owed a little bit of money off that, maybe some royalties or something like that, right? So that's something you're never going to see today, right? Same thing with Commander. Wizards today, Hasbro in 2017, would never go and tap into a format that was created solely by players and even allow the players to continue to maintain things like the ban list and publicly support that, just because of the possible litigation that could come from that. I mean, like, look at the judges' compensation, for example. I'm sure that got people really thinking about some of the things that Wizards has been doing. I think this is just another one of those examples. Now, from what I understand, I don't think Sheldon Menery is somebody that feels like Wizards owes them, or any of the people on that rules committee are going to sue Wizards or anything like that. But if they did, I don't know, they might have a case. I mean, Wizards took this idea, yes, it is with their cards, but they took a format that they created, maintained this list for all these years, and then came in and said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to support you in this whole endeavor, and we're going to just change the name to Commander and sell some Commander products, like these decks that sell really, really well, based on a formula that you all created. Granted, with our cards, but a format you created. So, yeah, at the very least, it's a little bit on the line, right? I think we all can agree to that. From a corporate point of view, you just don't expose yourself to those risks. Hasbro is not going to want to expose itself to the risk. So I think this is the first step in Wizards kind of tearing itself away from the Commander Rules Committee. I think this is the first step of, okay, this is just Magic Online. You don't have to use this in your paper world. It's really based around 1v1 more than anything, even though, yes, you can still do it with multiplayer. But, yeah, this is our list that we'll maintain, and we'll kind of do our thing over here. Now, from a casual perspective, I mean, it gives players the option to either use this list or the one that's already there from the Rules Committee. Different playgroups may want to do different things. Some playgroups already use their own lists. I mean, it's a casual format. That's what it's really all about. So what does the Commander Rules Committee have to say about all this? Well, Sheldon Menery did leave an entry on the forums on their site, and it says, basically, I'll read it real quick. You've no doubt heard about the changes to the Commander Banned List on Magic Online. This in no way impacts the official Commander Banned List. As the WotC folks mentioned in their announcement, the majority of online play is 1v1, so they've sculpted their list with that in mind. Our vision maintains that Paper Commander is a multiplayer format, which is how we will continue to manage the ban list. One of the major things at play here is that the social factors which apply to face-to-face situations don't apply online. The paper and online environments have diverged for quite some time now and exist in different spaces. It makes a measure of sense to manage them differently. And I think that is true. I think that does make sense. I think that's a fine statement to make. Now, I believe that from what it sounds like, Sheldon gave some input to Wizards on their list, but it was not a collaboration. So this is, I feel like, truly a separating off. But you could argue, though, what he's saying makes sense. Their list maybe is a little more friendly to paper face-to-face interactions as opposed to the list we see on Magic Online. So it may be a list that a lot of people still continue to use. Well, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on all this when it comes to what list you want to use. Do you feel like having a Wizards list just kind of circumvents what the Rules Committee have done? Is it confusing, especially if you're new and trying to get into Commander? Is this just something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're trying to research this and how to build a deck? Are you going to show up at a game store at a Commander event and be told that you're on the wrong list, right? That type of stuff. So I think that's going to be a lot of the questions that still need to be answered over the course of the next year or so as we move forward. All right, let's talk about something that's, well, I guess it's still Magic related because it's about this channel, but I want to talk a little bit about YouTube, Google, AdSense, ad revenue, all that stuff, the ad boycott. I have mentioned a couple of videos that I've had some tough times over the last month or so now, because of the YouTube ad boycott. Quick background, in case you're not aware of it. I know there's probably been a lot of videos about it, but although I haven't seen a lot from Magic creators, so if you primarily watch Magic videos, you might not have heard about it. Basically, what happened was, a little while back, Wall Street Journal wrote an article kind of trying to expose YouTube AdSense as a forum where ads are being kind of thrown out willy-nilly, and a lot of big companies' ads are being tied in with maybe some undesirable websites or videos on YouTube. And those could be like hate speech type things and stuff like that. So, Wall Street Journal a lot of times does create articles that are a little sensational when it comes to stuff like this. I feel like that's what was going on here. I feel like this particular article was trying to just drive sales of the paper and get people talking, more so than it was worried about the facts. Because some of the facts are the fact that when I'm a big company, like say McDonald's or whatever, and I have a Google ad account, I actually do have the ability to go in and tune that account to direct where my ads are going. Now, most big companies either probably aren't even aware of this or can't be bothered with it or don't want to hire staff to manipulate this. And if you're paying a lot of money to Google, yeah, you know what? Google should probably kind of just have the customer service to do that for you, in my opinion. But still, there were some outs. Well, this article hit a lot of big companies, a lot of real big companies started to boycott AdSense until they can get this issue resolved. And YouTube kind of went into, and Google kind of went into emergency management mode. And they made some big changes. A couple of the biggest changes, I don't know if you may have heard of them, but one of the biggest changes for new YouTubers, to get monetized, you actually have to apply for monetization, which you always had to apply, but it was basically just kind of like, hey, are you going to make videos? Cool. Don't put bad things in them, and we're watching you, sort of thing. But now you actually have to get 10,000 views on your videos before you can apply to be monetized, and then they could reject you depending on the content that you put out there. Now, I'll tell you, 10,000 views on videos, when you're starting out, if you're starting out from scratch, like you're not coming from a website or something like that, or maybe you own a business or you have some sort of notoriety in some aspect of the public, if you're just coming flat in and you're just Joe Schmo and you feel like, you know what, I want to contribute to the Magic community, I guess like me a couple of years ago when I started doing this, and, you know, I'm going to do some pack opening videos and maybe a deck tech or what have you, you're probably, my best guess is you're probably going to take about 3 months or so to get 10,000 views, your first 10,000 views, because people just are going to have to find you. YouTube algorithms are not going to promote you very much, being a small channel, if you don't have many subscribers and such. So it's going to take some time to get there. And a lot of people are going to lose interest in those 3 months. You know, not to say that Joe Schmo, Magic guy like myself, is doing it just to make money. Obviously, you go in knowing you're not going to make a whole lot of money, especially in the beginning, right? Like, if you're getting 15, 20 views on your video, guess what? You might make a penny, maybe, if you're lucky. So, you know, obviously, those first 10,000 views aren't paying you a lot anyway. You just lost a few cents. But there is a motivating factor of actually saying, hey, people are watching this, and I'm getting paid, even if it's just cents, for what I'm doing. There's some sort of appreciation feeling there, and it's a reward. It's the risk and reward feeling, like gambling, I guess, right? You put out a video, you want to see how well it does and what it brings in, even if it's not a lot. So without that element, I think some people could get bored, quite honestly, especially early on. And a lot of people are just going to say, forget it. I'll just go off and do something else. And there's actually some other video channels out there like VidMe. I started posting my stuff on VidMe too, which it's still very small. They haven't started monetizing yet, but there is a tip option there and stuff like that. So like it's different, but it's another way to go. And I think some people are going to look into that. So that's one of the big changes that you're going to see from YouTube now. One of the other big changes is the fact that they are increasing the control that these companies have when they buy AdSense ads as far as to where they like to see their videos go. And they've created a rating system. Now, here's the hard part of all this. A lot of what I'm telling you today is not stuff that Google or YouTube has been straightforward with, because they are basically not saying a word to anybody. Again, I assume it's to protect themselves from any litigation. If I'm a big YouTuber who used to make a lot of money and all of a sudden that drops because of decisions they made, could they be potentially held liable? Perhaps, but if they don't say anything, keep it kind of on the down low, it's going to be harder to build a legal case against them in a case like that. So I kind of think that's why we have the radio silence. So what I'm telling you, a lot of it's speculation or what people are kind of putting together, but what it looks like they're trying to do at this point is create a rating system for each video. The problem is this rating system is behind the scenes. You can't see it. Now, a company can say, I don't want my stuff on certain rated videos, and or I don't want my stuff on unrated videos. But what's an unrated video? Well, basically an unrated video is anything that they haven't had a chance to rate yet. And here's where I think we're running into some problems, at least like I'm running into some problems. I have not had any of my videos demonetized since all this started. Actually, I've never had a video demonetized. I guess one time I had my monetization taken from Wizards. That's a story for another day. I should tell that sometime for a video, because I showed a clip of a trailer that they put out, and I talked over it. I didn't even play the audio, but I was just showing the clip. Their YouTube network, I guess, picked it up and flagged it. I appealed it and they backed down, and no big deal or anything, but it's a funny story. I'll have to tell it sometime. But anyway, none of my videos were demonetized, because that is what's happening to a lot of people. Anything that is maybe even slightly controversial, or not, a lot of times not even controversial, they use a word that is taken the wrong way by the automated system, and their video is being taken, their monetization was being taken away from that video. That's happened to a lot of people. That has not happened to me. But again, my stuff, it's a card game we're talking about. It's pretty family friendly, right? It's just kind of the nature of this channel. So I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. But what I do think might be happening to me at this point is I've lost a lot of revenue. First off, initially when these companies left, I'm sure there was less ads to go around. Secondly, I feel like when you post a video, most of your views come within the first 12 to 24 hours, right? And I don't know how long it's taking them to sit down and monitor my video to give it a rating. And if that's taking them even 2 hours, even 6 hours, maybe more, who knows? But that time that is the gap between the time I post it and they actually give it a rating, that means that any company that says I don't want my stuff on unrated material is not sending me ads. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. Now, my hope is that this is all temporary until they can get a automated system in place, because that would make sense. Like if I could upload a video and they could immediately tell me, okay, we scanned it for whatever words or language or whatever, and here's your rating. Do you agree or disagree with it, sort of thing? Then I can decide if I even want to publish the video or try to kind of fix the issue beforehand. And if I don't, and most of the time hopefully it would be fine and not read something wrong, then I'm good. I can just post it, it's already rated, and I think all the problems go away. But at least right now that doesn't appear to be the case, that it appears that they have people actually manually checking these things. And I gotta believe they're going to put higher credence on some of the bigger channels, as opposed to me that's, trying to creep up to 10,000, right? So because of that, initially when this all started happening, I was down about 1/5 of my ad revenue. Now I'm down, it's a little better now. It's probably still less than half, though, than I was making. So I say it all the time, but thank you to the patrons on Patreon, because without Patreon, without the Amazon affiliate store purchases, I would really be in a lot of trouble. Now, I do have other jobs, luckily. So I do other writing jobs for other companies. So that's very helpful because I can just pick up more of those to compensate. The only downside to that is it does allow me less time to make videos and to improve the quality of the channel and stuff like that. And that's kind of frustrating for me because, like, for example, if you watch the channel the last couple of days, I did a couple of quick pack openings, right? They're about 5-6 minutes long. I opened a pre-release kit from Mohammed. And if you like pack openings, I feel like they're a good video. I was proud of them for the folks that like pack openings. But they weren't necessarily anything, I guess, different than you could find on other channels. Now, earlier in the week, I did a video where I talked about the math behind lottery cards. Now, I don't have the equipment to make that video as flashy as I would have liked to have made it, but I was proud of the content of that video. And that's the type of stuff I'd like to continue making. And then, of course, take my money, save it to the point I can afford an After Effects account and afford a PC that can actually run After Effects and that type of stuff. So I want to kind of get there, and Patreon and the Amazon affiliate purchases help me do that, right? But YouTube right now isn't really helping me do that, really at all. So that's kind of awkward for at least my particular position, but at least I do have faith. It's a big company. I think they're trying to get this right, I would hope. So I'm going to hang in there and kind of give it another month or so, and maybe give you an update as to how things are doing. But as of right now, if it wasn't for my other jobs, and of course, I mean, that's going to be true for probably most YouTubers, except for maybe the 1%, right? But it wasn't for my other jobs and Patreon and the Amazon affiliate store. Now, if I could get more engagement through Patreon and through the Amazon affiliate store, then I would be able to peel back on some of the other articles that I have to write for other industries. They're not magic related. Then I would have more time, of course, to work on the channel and make the channel better. And that's really where I would like to be. So that's why I do try to give that plug in most of my videos. Hey, check out Patreon, check out Amazon affiliate store. I know that can get annoying after a while if you watch all the videos. I'm sure it does. But I guess the reason I just kind of have to do that to keep doing this, because there's a certain point where I have to kind of say, you know what? If I don't have the ability to at least get paid a few cents for my time that I am putting into everything, then I kind of am forced to just take more of the other jobs, and it just leaves me less and less time for this. And that scares me a little bit because I really enjoy doing this and I enjoy being part of the community, and I'm not going to kind of be one of those people. I don't want to be one of those people that says, if you don't give me money, I can't do this anymore and I'm going to be gone. And I don't think honestly, I don't think that's true. I'll always be doing something on YouTube because it's fun and it's almost like a hobby for me. In that case, it's kind of the way I interact with Magic, right? So I'm not going away. I'm not going to let this or anything else make me go away, right? Because I like it too much, and I like talking to you guys in the message boards and stuff like that. And I like trying to come up with new ideas and do different things and stuff. It's fun for me. So I'm not going away. But the question is, how much can I put out, right? And I feel like this week was a good example of that I had to do some real quick, short videos to just kind of say, hey, I'm still out there, everybody. I'm not giving up. But I didn't have the time because I did have other things I had to work on this week that other weeks I didn't have to do. So it does change kind of the way I look at the channel a little bit. But anyway, that's the only reason I want to talk about that was really just to give you my perspective, because I did have some people ask about it. If I was worried about it, if I was concerned about it. It's annoying, but I'm not concerned about it. I hope they fix it. I think they'll fix it. And because I have patrons and because I have folks that make purchases through those links on the Amazon storefront, I'm able to maintain. Yes, you may see a little less of my content, or maybe I'll be doing some shorter content like I've done the last couple days, but I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to hang in there because I love this and I love the community and I love being able to do something to engage in it. And I mentioned this in videos before, but the reason I think I'm so passionate about it is because when I moved, I didn't really have the same Magic community that I had prior in places I've lived in the past. And because of that, I feel like I want to get back. I mean, one of the things I enjoyed about the game was being able to help people learn the game and get better at the game and stuff like that. So that's how I do this now, is through these videos. And I'm not a pro or anything like that. I just played for a long time and I like it, you know, and I'm not perfect. I make mistakes when I sit down at the table. Sure, like a lot of people, I don't get to play as much as I'd like. So I probably make more mistakes than I used to make, quite honestly, when I play. But, you know, at the same time, it's not going to go away for me. It's how I engage in Magic today. Even probably, I spend more time making videos than I do playing, you know? So that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm at least right now. I'd love to be able to play more, but I still play. I still play paper and online Magic. I play every week. I probably play at least two or three times a week. So that's not bad, but I used to play a lot more than that. I used to play in a lot more tournaments and things like that. So anyway, neither here nor there. That's my update. And I wanted to, since before I get too rambly, I'll go ahead and end the video. But hey, thanks to everybody. I always appreciate your support. And we'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do a update to the Market Watch, as we usually do on Saturdays. And then probably early next week, I'll do another standard update once we get through the second week of standard. Then the following weekend will be the Pro Tour. So there'll be big changes coming up there. So, hey, until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.